A little over 2 years ago, I was unable to grow on Twitter, even though I posted 5 times per day. But now I'm 2 years later, and I found one strategy that worked extremely well, and it isn't about the content that you post. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you what it is, so that you can also grow really fast on Twitter. And I'm going to explain this in 5 simple steps. But before these steps make sense, I need to explain the root problem first. This is the follower funnel. So this is the process that people go through from stranger to follower. But the problem is that at the start, Twitter doesn't really push your tweets yet. So you need to leave comments to force eyes on your profile and your content. And this is the reason that 80% of people aren't able to grow, and why I also wasn't able to grow at the start. And when I started leaving comments, I was able to grow a lot faster, even though I was posting more or less the same content. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 steps that you need to take to set up your engagement system. So in the first step, we need to determine who you're going to leave your comments on. And for this, you need to create a comment list. The list needs to have 100 people in your niche or in similar niches. 20% of these people should be big creators and 80% of these people should be small creators. The reason we leave comments on big creators is because they get a lot of impressions. So by leaving good comments on their posts, we can try to get some profile clicks on those comments, and that can result in followers. With these small creators, the goal is a little bit different because they don't get a lot of views. So we basically leave comments on them in order to basically help each other grow. So that's why I have 80% small creators, because it's more useful at the start. Alright, so let me show you how you can set this up. You go to Twitter and then you click on the list button on the sidebar. And then you click on create new list. Give the list a name and make it a private list if you don't want people to see it. When you go to someone who you want to add to the list, you need to click on these dots. When you do, you get these options. And you need to click on add/remove from list. Then you need to add them to the comment list, and then you need to click on save. I would recommend doing this for the creators that you already know. These are usually the 20 big creators. After that, you can find other creators inside of the comment section of the creators you added. And then again, you can just click on the dots here and add them to your list, or you can go to their profile first to check it out, and then add them if they're a good fit. Do this for 80 small creators. When you do this, you have a list of 100 people that you can start leaving comments on. So that brings us to the second step. And this is about what comments you should actually leave. And I'm now going to give you the 4 best comment types, so that you can just take those, instead of leaving 40k comments like me to figure it out. By the way, the cool part about this is that it lets you filter on profile clicks. And profile clicks are important because profile clicks are what leads to followers. Because if you optimize your profile, then you convert a certain percentage of the traffic that you're getting into followers. So in this example, this is one of my best months. It's usually a little bit lower. I had over 30k profile clicks and I had a conversion rate of 31%. And as a result, I had 10k followers. So this is why optimizing your profile is very important, because it's the clicks and not the likes that get you followers. Alright, so let's talk about the 4 best types of comments you can leave. The first one is the personal experience. And again, as you can see, this one got a lot of profile visits. So you can multiply this with the profile conversion rate that you have. And then you get the amount of followers that you got from the comments. So in this case, the personal experience is basically giving your experience with the idea that the person wrote about in the tweet. It's pretty basic, but it actually adds something to the tweet. And it also gives people a chance to get to know you a little bit. The second one is a joke. I don't really use this one a lot, but it can be effective because a lot of people just read the comments to be entertained. So if you leave a funny joke or something else funny, then it might get profile clicks. The third one is an idea. So if someone writes about something, then you can write about a related idea in your comments. So that you, again, actually add something to the tweet. That's the main thing. Don't rewrite the tweet in the comments, but actually add something to it. And then you have the opinion. So people write about a certain idea and you can say what you think about that idea. So you can agree with it or disagree with it. And usually 99% of people agree with it. So you actually stand out if you disagree with it and if you give a good perspective on it. One bonus tip is that you can also save your comments. So this was a comment that I left, and 2 weeks later I turned it into a tweet, and as you can see, it did pretty well. So when you write a comment that you feel kind of good about, that you think could have potential as a tweet, you can copy it and you can paste it into your content scheduler as a draft. And then you can just edit it later when you batch produce your content. So now you know who to leave comments on and what comments to leave. So now we're going to talk about the third step, and this is how to leave comments. So you can just write the comments yourself if you want to. This is what I did. But the landscape has changed a lot in the past few months. And right now there are also AI tools that allow you to write the comments for you. And the tool you can use for it is Qura AI. They basically give you a lot of reply tones. So friendly, professional, supportive, etc. And you can also create your own tone so that it writes comments in your voice. So this is useful because it instantly generates a comment for you, and this saves a lot of mental energy. So here's a quick video that shows how they do it. You click on a tweet and then you have the options for your comment tones. Then you click on the one that you want and then it generates a comment for you. and it doesn't automatically send it, so it still gives you control over it. So you can use it as a draft and you can still edit it so that it sounds more like you. But in this way, you don't have to think about generating a comment from scratch every single time. And this may not sound like a lot, but if you leave 100 comments per day, then this can save a lot of time and mental energy. So it's definitely worth checking out. I've added the link in the description, just like all the other tools that I mentioned in this video. So that brings us to the fourth step, and this fourth step is about where you leave comments. Because leaving comments on the timeline is extremely inefficient, so that's why we leave our comments in something called X-Pro. You can find this on pro.x.com. You need a blue tick for this, but it's definitely worth it. So when you go to this website, this is more or less what it looks like. You need to click on Add Column. When you do that, you get these options, and you need to click on Lists. So then you select the list that you've created, so that it gets added to this overview. And then we also need to change a few settings. When we select the list, we need to click on Search Post, because this will convert it into a search column, and this is much more efficient. I would also recommend setting this to wide and setting this to small, because this will make it easier to leave comments. And after you click on this, you also have the option to filter out the reposts, the quotes, and the replies of other people. So you need to uncheck these options so that you only get the tweets in your overview. And then you also need to select the latest so that the latest posts are at the top, because when you do this, you have the tweets that are just being posted at the top of it, and they have the highest view potential left. So you get a higher return on your comments if you leave comments on recent posts. So now you also know where to leave comments, and that brings us to the fifth step, and this is when to leave comments. And the idea is that you leave comments at peak audience times. This will be different for everyone, but I'm going to show you what it is for me. These are my peak audience times. And as you can see, I have a few peak audience times. So if I were to leave 60 comments, which I did at the start, then I would pick these times and I would leave 20 comments at each of these. I wouldn't recommend leaving 60 comments at once, because if you leave a lot of comments in a short amount of time, then you might get a ban. Probably not if you pace yourself, but it's better to be safe in my opinion. And this is Central European time, by the way. Comments are one important part of the system, but there are a few more ones. So if you want to learn more about it, check out the free Twitter simplified ebook, or check out the X Growth system if you want my entire system. So again, comments are one strategy that you can use to grow really fast. There are a few more that you need, and if you don't use this, then you won't actually grow that fast. So check out this video next. It explains these strategies so that you can grow extremely fast on Twitter.